Hey, everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this Labor Day. My name is Dennis Brown, and this is my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today, I've decided to do a live Q&A specific to freight broker sales and how to get shippers. So I want to hone in on that topic. I got a lot of great questions in the past. I'm sure you guys will have some great questions today. So that's really the agenda. We're going to do some shout outs really quick. So hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from, and I'll do some quick shout outs as people get live. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area. Where are you tuning in from? Love to hear from you. Whether that be live or on replay. If you're catching this on replay, hashtag replay. I love to hear from my replay folks. Thank you so much. And again, we're going to hone in on once we start the Q&A, hold your questions for now, okay? But once we start the Q&A, we're going to hone in specifically on how to get shippers and the entire freight broker sales process and strategies, tactics, tools, so on and so forth, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm excited that you guys are here. Thank you so much. I have no idea who's going to show up today because it is a holiday. There might be people out traveling or other, but I do want to welcome some people to the feed here. Hit me up in the comments of the city and state you're logging in from. Cynthia Moore, as always, from Maryland, welcome. Thank you for joining. Adamola from Rosenberg, Texas. Brian from Independence, Oregon, welcome. Happy Labor Day, everybody. I think it's kind of one of those holidays that not everybody understands the origins of. It's kind of an older holiday, obviously. But everybody's happy to have the first Monday in September off. So here we are. I know the kids are getting ready to go back to school here in New York. If you're in the South, they've probably been in school for a week or two maybe. But yeah, that's where we're at. Eclectic Rose, welcome from Colorado. Darren from Atlanta. Javalium, I believe, from Florida. Juan from Corpus Christi, Texas. If I murder your name, it means sometimes it's hard for me to even see them because they're really small in the feed. Corey from Billings, Montana, as always, thank you for joining. Give me 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Hit me up in the comments. I'll give you a shout out and I'll be right back. I forgot one thing. Hold on tight. Sorry about that. I'm back. Here we are. So where were we? Darren from Atlanta, Javi Liam from Florida, Juan from Corpus Christi, Corey from Billings, Montana, Bryant Works from Mississippi. So thank you for joining me. I know this is a holiday, but I didn't want to miss the live. And I do have some special news for you guys. I'll share here shortly once we're about to get started. But yeah, hit me up in the comments within city and state you're logging in from. Love to give you a quick shout out. And then we're going to jump into Q&A. But hold your questions, because if you type your questions in now, they're going to get lost in the feed, okay? So hold tight. I've been doing a lot of Q&As lately, but this one is specific. I want to focus in specifically on freight broker sales and specifically how to get shippers, whether you be a brand new freight broker or agent, or whether you're someone who's been a broker and agent for a while and is struggling to build their book. This is the live for you, okay? Because that's what we're going to do. So again, I've got an announcement. I'll make that here shortly. This is something that I think you guys is really going to benefit some of you. So I'm just going to spill the beans here, okay? The announcement is this. It's very simple. We are opening up enrollment tomorrow, Tuesday, September 2nd. We are opening enrollment for my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, okay? So we have a limited number of spots in that program. That is a live coaching program where I work with you directly in a small VIP group, and I teach you my best freight broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, but most importantly, the entire system that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, If you're on the wait list already, you'll get a text and an email tomorrow letting you know all the details and how you can get, how you can schedule a call and then get enrolled. Okay. If you're not on the wait list, if you haven't heard me saying this for the last few weeks, I've been dropping the hints for the last few weeks that we were going to be opening this up. If you haven't and you're struggling to get shippers, if you're struggling with the sales side of the business, get on the wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Now, this is for people that are already brokers or agents. You could be a brand new broker, brand new agent, but if you're still in, the phase where you're just learning, and maybe you're in Freight Broker Bootcamp, or maybe you haven't even taken a program yet, if you're looking for startup help specifically, I want you to just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That's my startup program. If you're at the phase where you're going to be starting to make sales calls right away, or you're already making sales calls and you're already doing outreach and you're getting a lot of rejection and you're struggling to get your first 5 or 10 shippers and hit your first 7-figure in sales, that's who I want to talk to. That's who this program is designed to serve. So get on the wait list. We are going to be opening up enrollment tomorrow. It will sell out very fast. It always does. Okay. As soon as it sells out, we're going to start the program. And, that program has been amazing. We've had it for several years, put over 1,000 students through that program. And we have a 9.2 out of 10 approval rating, right? People that have completed the program, right, and completed a survey, it's a 9.2 out of 10. I mean, I don't think I could get any better than that, right? That's about as good as I think it's going to get. We'd never hit a 10 with putting 1,000 people through the program. Okay, so I hope you guys are excited. How many of you are already on the wait list? Okay, how many of you are on the wait list right now? Hit me up in the comments and let me know if you're on the wait list right now, or if you've already taken the program. That would be great to know that as well. And then we'll get started here in just a minute with the Q&A. I'm not seeing a whole lot of comments. I don't know if it's frozen or what. I hope not. Are you guys reading me loud and clear? Normally we've got a bunch of comments coming in. And when I go 6 minutes without a comment, it's pretty rare. Okay, so who's ready to go? Who's ready to go with the Q&A? Hit me up in the comments. Who's ready to go with the Q&A? If you guys are ready to go, we'll get the show on the road. You guys can hit me with some questions. Again, I want to focus today as much as possible on freight broker sales and how to get shippers. Now, if you have something that's non-related to that, right, and you don't have a sales question, if you put it up here, I may be able to answer it depending upon the number of questions that we have, right? But I'm going to be focusing in on the sales related questions, things like, how to find shipper leads, or, the things that are direct, what's better, email or LinkedIn or phone calls for connecting and having conversations with shippers, or how do I overcome these objections, or whatever the case may be, right? Whatever the specific questions you have, I want to really try to focus in, where do I find shipper leads? Is it possible how to get people get clients using LinkedIn? I mean, the questions that I get quite frequently, right? Whether that be on these lives, or whether that be through email, or whether that be as a part of my programs. But yeah, if you guys can hit me up with some questions, that would be great. And we'll get the show on the road. All right. Eclectic Rose, I'm going to take an accelerator program after finishing boot camp. Awesome. I'm excited to have you. You've been around in these lives for a very long time. So I hope the live program is going well. I hope you're well on your way. Thank you for the heads up. And I do look forward to working with you. Brian Daniel took the accelerator, money well spent, ready to go. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you. All right, guys, hit me up in the comments with any questions you have, and we'll get this show on the road. We don't have a lot of people live today. I'm not surprised, because it is a holiday. But hopefully you guys have some questions. And if you don't, this will probably be the shortest live in Freight Burger Bootcamp history. Because my plans are, after this live today, just to give you a little bit of insight, I have some property, some recreational property. I have about 83 acres, about an hour south of here. And I'm heading down there for a little R&R, do a little bit of work, prepping for the upcoming hunting season. As you may or may not know, I'm a big bow hunter, been hunting whitetails and other creatures for most of my life, probably since I was in my early, probably since I was 8 or 10 years old, right? Was kind of raised that way, raised on 100 acres. My nearest neighbor was my grandfather, who was a farmer. So raised very, very rural, moved to Buffalo in the late 80s, went to college, and I've been in this area in the suburbs of Buffalo, specifically Clarence, for quite a while now. That's where I've started and raised my family. So hit me up in the comments with any questions you guys have. I don't know if there's some sort of delay going on or not, but it seems a little bit weird that you guys are not hammering me with questions or comments, because normally my feed is going like this, ding, 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 and it's hard to even keep up. So let's talk, guys. Hit me up in the comments wherever you're at. I see most of the people are on YouTube. I'm assuming there's not a YouTube glitch. Let's see. Let's just double check and make sure there's no issues. No, I don't want that. Okay. Okay, here's a question. You've said it in the past, save enough money to quit your job, maybe 6 months. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you're, this isn't really a sales related question, but because there's no other questions here. Yep, Michael, I got it. Testing. I did get it. Thank you for that. It looks like it's showing up. Thank you for testing LinkedIn at least. And it looks like YouTube comments are coming in. So Darren says, you have said it in the past, save enough money to quit your job, maybe 6 months. Okay. So if you're currently in a W-2 job or you're getting paid some other way, right? Say you're in a W-2 job and you want to try to break away and start your own business. The general rule is try to save up 6 months of living expenses. Okay. That's not a hard and fast rule, because obviously everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's wants, needs, and desires are a little bit different. But yes, you should go into your business with a little bit of breathing room from a financial perspective. And the reason being is because obviously when you first start your freight broker business, you're not going to get your first shipper day one, or maybe even week one, or maybe even month one. It really depends. I've had clients, one of my clients that completed boot camp, did over $7,000 in profit in their first week, profit in their pocket. But I've also had other clients that took 4, 5, 6 months to get their first shipper. And then they went on to do over $1 million in the next 12 months. So, I've had a lot of success stories with different students, but not everybody, shoots out of a cannon. So yeah, you probably want to have a little bit of a nest egg saved up. You want to cut back on some expenses. Obviously, you want to try to reduce unnecessary expenditures, and you really just want to focus on your business for that first year really hard in order to get some positive cash flow going. And once you get from there, it gets a lot easier. Obviously, once you're making more money than your bills cost every month, then that's kind of what I consider first base. Okay, so good point. Okay, looks to me like you guys don't have questions. And I'm going to be down to Cherry Creek very, very soon because I'll be cutting out early. So you guys have exactly 2 minutes to start typing your questions in. And if not, I appreciate you guys showing up. Happy Labor Day. And I'm going to be heading out the back door. Okay. Here's a question from 500 Freedom. I work as a truck driver for FedEx. Does the experience help like as a resume when talking to shippers? Yeah, I think it would. I think having some experience as a truck driver, having some experience working inside the industry would lend some credibility to your story. So yes, I do believe that. You are dealing with shippers because not everybody you're delivering packages to maybe, FedEx just doesn't deliver packages to residential. They deliver packages to businesses. They deliver, there's different things that they do. So yeah, I think being a part of a company like FedEx could definitely add to your story and add to your credibility. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, the ins and outs of exactly what you're doing or how long you've been there, but it sounds to me if you could incorporate that into your story, that it would lend some incredible credibility for you. Yes. All right. Who else we got? What other questions do you guys have? You have exactly 1 minute to start typing them in. If I get another question, then I'll stick around. If I don't, I'm out. And this is where I go silent and it gets really uncomfortable. This is what I do on my coaching programs, where if the group, because we have a VIP group, if I come in and all of a sudden it's crickets and everybody's real gun shy, right? And nobody wants to break the ice. I sit here dead silent until people start typing in questions. And all of a sudden it's amazing how the questions start flying, right? So here I go. I'm going dead silent for 60 seconds. And if we don't have any questions at that point, we're going to sign off for today. Okay. Siri, set a timer for 60 seconds. All right, here we go. Isn't it amazing how that works? John, I'm an owner operator running a dedicated load through a broker. Once I become a broker, can I go after the same load without running into any issues with the broker I'm working with? Well, John, that depends if you signed as a carrier, if you signed a broker carrier agreement, which you probably did. And it depends on what the terms of that agreement. If you agreed to not back solicit the shipper, or you agreed to not contact that shipper, or you agreed to not do business with that shipper based upon the terms of the broker carrier agreement, it depends on what you agreed to, bottom line. If you agreed to not reach out to them, not contact them, not solicit them, then you're potentially could put yourself in harm's way if the broker gets pissed off and decides to, hire a lawyer. Okay. If you didn't agree to that, if that wasn't part of your agreement, then you probably don't have anything to worry about, right? It's just normal business at that point. So only you would know what you agreed to or what you didn't agree to. Okay. Hope that helps. George asked, do you have experience in Canada market as a broker? How do you find it compared to the US? Yeah, I've had thousands of students go through my program in Canada. I also had a lot of customers in Canada, right? During when I had my brokerage. So yeah, the brokering in Canada and brokering in the US are almost identical. Okay. They're almost identical, right? They're very, very similar. You guys have a little less regulations, stuff like that. But yeah, they're literally almost identical. Now, rates vary depending on market to market. So, the rates in the Southeast versus Canada, or the rates in the Western part of Canada or the Eastern part of Canada, or wherever you're at, those are always variable based upon supply and demand. But as a general rule, you're still just, as a broker, you're still just the middleman arranging transportation between a shipper and a carrier, and you're making a profit typically somewhere in the range of 10 to 20% of the load value. So if the shipper's paying $2,000, you're going to make somewhere between $200 and $400 on that load for finding the carrier, dispatching the carrier, managing the freight all the way from cradle to grave. Okay. So that's really, it's the same in the US versus Canada. Very, very little differences. Hope that helps. If you have a follow-up, let me know. Latrice asks, waiting to know the best way to start as a broker? What insurance is the best insurance to use once started? Well, Latrice, I got good news for you. As a freight broker, you do not need insurance. It's not required to have any form of insurance in order to get your freight broker license. Now, your state may vary. Your state may require maybe some general liability business insurance. It may not. But you are not required to have any form of cargo insurance or auto insurance or contingent cargo insurance. The insurance that the loads you are going to be managing will fall under the carrier's insurance. So their auto liability and their cargo liability, that's part of your responsibility as the broker to verify they have those coverages adequate to cover the value of the load that you're shipping. So you don't need any insurance, but you asked about how to get started. So I'm going to direct you to a free document, a cheat sheet, which is the 7 steps to become a freight broker, right? So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/7 steps. It's absolutely free. You download it. It's going to give you a blueprint, step by step by step by step on what you need to do in order to go from not knowing what a freight broker is to getting your freight broker license and getting started. Okay. So that's a free download. You got, anybody can get it. Just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/7 steps. Okay. Hope that helps. Latrice. Darren, how long is your freight broker class? Okay. I have 2 programs. Freight Broker Bootcamp is my startup program. That is an online, self-paced, go at your own pace online course. Okay. So once you sign up, within 1 minute after you sign up, you'll get instant access to log in and you have full access to all of the training. Most people complete that training, in a, let's call it a 2 to 4 week period of time, doing it part-time. They'll do an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, an hour there, and then they have access to those resources. So that's a self-paced program. Okay. That's an online course. So that's the Freight Broker Bootcamp startup program. Now let's talk about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Okay. The Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is a VIP coaching program where I work with you personally and teach you all my best freight broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, my entire system. And that program is a 6-week program. Okay. So it's a hybrid program. There's some online learning, but there's 6 weeks of live coaching with me. Okay. So that is the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to go with it. If you get on the wait list, you will get a link tomorrow with all the details and all the specifics. And at that point, you'll be able to schedule a call. We'll jump on a call and see if we're a good fit to work with each other. If you're going to like working with me, if you qualify for my program, that's what you'll get if you get on the wait list. If you're not on the wait list, you won't get a chance. Okay. So you won't get any of this information. So get on the wait list if you're serious. Get on the wait list if you already are a freight broker, freight agent, and you're struggling with getting shippers. Okay. But again, the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is not a startup program. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to teach you how to find carriers on load boards, and I'm not going to teach you how to negotiate rates, and I'm not going to teach you how to, rate shipments. That's not what we do in the Sales Accelerator. The Sales Accelerator is just sales. It's specific to sales. Okay. So I hope that helps. Oh, the questions have come fast and furious now. Question from Michael Killian. What's the current market outlook for newcomers entering freight brokerage, especially considering the impact of tariffs? I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay. Opinions vary. I believe that every market, and I've been saying this for years, every market goes up, every market goes down. They cycle. It's a cycle. Sometimes the upturns are extended over several years. Sometimes the downturns are extended over several years, but it always cycles up and down. Me personally, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for I started about 30 years. Okay. I've built 4 7-figure plus businesses in 4 different industries. Okay. 4 totally different industries. My personal experience is you would rather not join the market at the peak. If I had a choice of joining the market at the peak or joining the market at the bottom, I would pick the bottom. Why? Because if I can get customers in a downturn, when the upturn happens, right, it's going to be gravy. It's going to be much easier. I'm going to be positioned properly. But if I join the market in an upturn when there's high demand, I may not be able to replicate that in a down market. Plus, all of a sudden now I've got declining revenues and I've got fixed overhead, and that's a recipe for disaster. So personally, I believe if you're going to join the freight market, whether that be as a carrier, or whether that be as a broker, or whether that be as an agent, you don't want to join at the peak. You want to join more towards the bottom or the uptick, right? Just as it starts to uptick. But if you try to wait for the perfect timing, the problem is that, it's that old adage, right? If you wait for all the lights to turn green before you head to work in the morning, you're always going to be late, right? So it's hard to have perfect timing. I believe that as a freight broker or freight agent startup, a solo operation, true startup, your overhead is so low, your expenses are so low, you only need a few customers in order to build a profitable business. Here's the thing. That's a huge advantage over a lot of big companies, right? So you don't need a lot of customers in order to build a profitable business. Matter of fact, most freight brokers that I know that are making that are making six figures in profit, only have somewhere in the range of 5 or 10 active shippers. So you don't need hundreds or thousands of shippers in order to build a profitable business. So, I don't know if that answers your question, Michael. Hopefully it does. I gave you a little bit of a brain dump there. So there you are. Greetings. Thank you, Fadi. Okay, George asks, how often would you say it's best to follow up with a shipper? Okay, well, it really depends on if you've spoken with that shipper or whether you haven't spoken with that shipper and what happened in between. So if you have not spoken to a shipper and you've just been calling them day after day after day after day after day, I would strongly suggest that you stop doing that. Okay? I'm a big believer in having what I call a sales cadence, a defined sales cadence. So on day one, you might call and leave a voicemail. This is just a hypothetical. And on day two, you connect with them on LinkedIn and you send an email. And then on day three, you give them a call. And then on day four, you send them a LinkedIn message and you send them an email. And then on day five, you're calling them, so you have like a cadence. And then after about 10 days, okay, within about the first 10 days or so, if you haven't started a dialogue with them, I would start pushing off that outreach, probably a lot less frequent, right? I might push it out 30, 60, 90 days and then reinitiate the sequence again, right? Focus on some new blood. Now, that's if you haven't spoken to anybody. Now, if you had a conversation with a prospect, depending upon the quality of that conversation and how that conversation ended is how you should follow up. Now, if you've done a freight quote for them, they've asked you to do a freight quote, you sent the freight quote, and now you're getting ghosted, right? Well, that's probably partially your fault. The reason being is because you didn't sell enough value and you didn't establish a next step, right? They either didn't like your quote, didn't get your quote, or didn't have time to review your quote, right? It's probably one of those three. So ultimately, if you're following up with somebody that you sent a quote to, or if you're following up to somebody that you had a conversation with, the key to success is at the end of this call, whatever your last call is you have to establish a next step and you have to establish a reason to have another call. That is your job. You should go from call to call to call to call to customer. You shouldn't go call, right? And then you get off that call and you're like trying to contact them for 3 weeks and not getting them on the phone. Because what happens is this: sales is a big game of what I call momentum, okay? If you can get momentum in a sale, it's much easier to close the sale. But if you get this momentum on the first sale and then over the next 3 weeks, you lose all that momentum and then you get them back on the phone, it's very hard to build that momentum again, right? So, I'm not sure if that helps, but I hope it does. And if it does, either way, just hit me up with a follow-up. Okay, I think I answered that other question. Avery, is there a specific language we need to put in the contracts for shippers and carriers to move freight? And is there a website to find contracts like these? Okay, Avery, if you are looking for a broker carrier agreement or a broker shipper agreement or a broker agent agreement, that is built in and is a part of my Freight Broker Bootcamp startup program. If you don't have those contracts yet, it tells me you probably haven't went through any formal training to become a freight broker. Now, it's not required by law that you do a training in order to become a freight broker or freight agent, but I would highly advise that you select a credible, reputable freight broker training program to get started. Now, if you want to check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com, we've trained over 10,000 students. I've had that program since 2009, and I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker. So, I mean, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. Okay. So that would be my little elevator pitch there. Hope that helps. And there is specific language you're going to want in those agreements, but it depends upon you. That those agreements that we have are already templatized and they've got most of that language in there. Now, we're not lawyers and we don't provide legal advice, but these are standardized type contracts. Question, can you make a couple of companies that will teach you how to be a remote agent? In other words, guide you through. Oh, you mean a couple of videos that will teach you? Well, a remote agent, the Freight Broker Bootcamp program teaches you how to become a freight broker or a freight agent. It's combined. You don't have to buy two different programs. Okay, it's combined. So I've already done that. I also have my YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, which is free. I've got over 300 free training videos. Let me see if I can find the link for that. Yeah, if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/YouTube, it'll redirect you to my YouTube channel. And there are over 300 free freight broker and freight agent training videos there, right? So if you search in my videos for agent, right, you'll probably find a whole bunch of videos that are associated with becoming an agent, you know, getting customers in as an agent, setting up as an agent, whatever, right? Everything agent related. So I hope that helps. Humphrey just joined us from Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Humphrey. All right. Well, you guys finally jumped out of the gates here and started asking some questions. So appreciate that. If you guys have any other questions, I just answered the last one that's in my feed. So if you guys have any other questions, hit me up in the comments. If not, then, you know, we're going to give it about another 60. We'll give it another 60 seconds here for you guys to get off your butts. And then we'll close out for today. If you guys don't have any other questions, appreciate you guys being here. Hope this has helped a little bit. If you're catching this on replay, the cool advantage you have is you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can do all that. If you're catching this live, you can always go back and check this out. And if for whatever reason you don't get a chance to ask your question today, feel free to type your question in the comments, you know, in the following coming days or weeks. And I will try to come back in here and answer those questions. You know, I do get notified through LinkedIn and through YouTube whenever questions are asked. So yeah, you guys can always come back and hit me on a replay and ask those questions then. But again, if you guys have specific questions about how to get shippers or freight broker sales or anything related to that today, make sure you get those questions answered now. And while we're waiting, you know, I'm going to beat you over the head with my pitch one more time before we go. I am opening enrollment for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator coaching program tomorrow, Tuesday, September 2nd. Okay. If you are on the wait list by going to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist, you will get notified of all the details and you'll get an opportunity to schedule a call and possibly get enrolled, right? This is an invite only program. If you get on the wait list, you've got a partial invite. If you pass through the interviewing process where we jump on a phone call and we do the evaluation and you get an invite, then you're in the program, right? And we'll be working together to help you get your first 5 or 10 shippers and hit 7 figures in sales in that coaching program. That's specifically what it's designed to do. So get on the wait list, okay? I can't say it enough. You know, if for whatever reason the moons don't line up and you're not able to join this time, you'll get notified when the next spots open up, okay? But I'm really only looking for serious people, right? I mean, you're going to have to be willing to invest in yourself. It's not a free program, just so you know. The wait list is free, but the program is not free. It's not free and it's not cheap, okay? So if you're broke, this is probably not the right timing for you. That's okay. Maybe we can catch up another time. But if you have a little bit of resources and some motivation and some desire, I can help, right? I've helped thousands of students get over those hurdles. And so that's the deal, guys. Get on the wait list. And those of you that are on the wait list, here, tell me who in the audience right now, are you on the wait list? I know some of you have said you've completed the program. You said that earlier, and I appreciate that. But how many of you are on the wait list actively waiting for the information about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator tomorrow morning? Who's excited about that? Who's ready for that? Who's on the wait list? Hit me up in the comments, and then we're going to wrap it up. Who's on the wait list? Who's waiting for tomorrow morning's release? Put it this way, I can tell you right now, I've got over 1,000 people that have signed up for the wait list. I will probably only have 15 spots available. Okay? Not a lot. It will sell out quick, but not everybody who's on the wait list will qualify to be a part of the program. So don't let that deter you. Okay? You're going to have to qualify to be a part of this program. And you're going to have to get on a phone call with me and feel comfortable that I'm going to be able to deliver what you're looking for, right? So it's an interview both ways. You are kind of interviewing me and I'm interviewing you. And at the end of that, one of two things is going to happen. We're going to part friends, or I'm going to make you an invitation to join the program. Okay? On the wait list, have not received any notification. Okay. I'm not sure when you joined, but make sure, go back and join the wait list again, because if it didn't get confirmed, but yeah, you want to make sure you're on the wait list. I'll be sending a text out and an email out tomorrow to everybody who's on the wait list. George says, let's say I got a shipper on my cold call. I introduced myself, my services. How do I end the call? What point do you leave on? Okay. So George is asking, we jumped on a call. We had a good call. How do I wrap the call up? Okay. So you wrap. Okay. I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question in 1 second. Okay. George has his questions. How do I kind of wrap up that first call? All right. So you and I spoke. I introduced myself. I asked you a few questions. We had a nice dialogue. And let's say, for example, at the end of the call, right, he's asking me to do a freight quote for lane A to B, just a hypothetical. That could be the way a call ends. If it ends that way, you're going to say, okay, great. When do you need this quote by? All right. Is it 5 minutes? Is it time sensitive, or can I get it to you by the end of the day? You're getting some feedback. Says, oh, you get it back to me by the end of the day. Great. I'll get the quote to you by the end of the day. Would you be opposed to scheduling a quick call for the end of the day or tomorrow morning to discuss the details of that quote and specifically get a little bit more specific about, what that shipment might look like? And so you'll schedule, you'll remember, you want to go from call to call to call. You don't want to go from call, send an email, and then hope for them to get back to you, because they're not going to get back to you. They're busy. Okay. 95 out of 100 times, they're not going to reach back out to you. You have got to schedule the next action before the end of that call. So I'm going to be sending you a freight quote by the end of the day. What time tomorrow, or what time later today or tomorrow can we get back on the phone to discuss the details? Right? Now, if they didn't ask you for a freight quote, at the end of that call, you've got to find a reason to schedule the next call. Now, if they're saying, hey, I'll call you, don't call me, well, then you know how to handle it, right? When do I call you? What's the best? When should I follow up with you? They're giving you an objection, right? You're going to have to handle that. If you had a nice conversation, you gathered some information, then at that point, your job is you want to extract enough additional information where you're going to be providing them some information, whether that be customer testimonials or a shipper startup pack or a freight quote or something, but you want to come up with a reason for that next call. Everything goes, you have a cold call to a scheduled call to a scheduled call to a scheduled call. This prevents all the ghosting in between. Now, not everybody's going to make the scheduled call. Some will try to reschedule and some will never show up. But if you don't schedule the call, they're definitely not going to be there when you call. Okay? So I hope that helps. Okay. You want to be on the wait list? Great. All you got to do, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Okay. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Right. If you get on the wait list, then you'll get notified. Again, it's a text, email, wait list where you'll get notified when the spots open up. I'm opening enrollment tomorrow morning. Okay. So everybody who's on the wait list is going to get a text and an email tomorrow morning with instructions and details on how to get more information and how to schedule a call about the enrollment. Okay. So I hope that helps. Jojo Mo is asking, hey, Dennis, what does an initial cold call to my shipper sound like? Can you give me an example? Hi, this is Jordan, such and such. Okay. So there is no one size fits all cold call. This is the problem. This is the challenge that most brokers and agents face. They're trying to use a generic sales script that every shipper has already heard. For example, hey, my name's Dennis with XYZ. We've got trucks in your area regularly, and I was wondering if we could help you with some of your freight. Dead. Don't say it. It's stupid. It's outdated. It's beat up. Should have been left in the 80s and 90s and never repeated. Okay. But people still use it. And it's terrible because every shipper's already heard it. And all you're doing is triggering a negative response. You're telling them to treat you the same as they treated every other broker that said it before. So you're not differentiating yourself, right? Other poor sales scripts. Hey, my name's Dennis with XYZ Logistics. Hey, we'd like to save you some money on your freight. They've already heard it. Number one. Number two, you now just painted yourself in the corner, right? And now you have to be the cheapest in order to get their business, which is a terrible position to be in. Okay. So generic, outdated sales scripts is what you don't want to do. I can't give you a script that's specific to your niche or specific to the market you're going after, right? It's not something I can give you just right this second. But my point is that I'm going to give you better than that. I'm going to give you how to create your own script. You want to gather some sales intelligence about your target market, about your niche. What are the common challenges? What are the common problems? What are the conversations that they're having? What news is going on in and around your niche? For example, if you're in the steel niche, or you're in the produce niche, or you're in the heavy haul niche, or you're in the cross-border niche, whatever niche you're in, you want to become educated about that niche and understanding their challenges and pain points. Number two, every prospect, you want to do a little bit of research, a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes of research on Google, their website, LinkedIn, and gather sales intelligence. Sales intelligence is any data that helps you move closer to the sale. So if they just did a recent press release, perfect. I'll give you an example, a simple one. They did a press release how XYZ Widgets had just acquired ABC Widgets. Okay. Just a hypothetical. You might use that information to do a quick cold call and say, hey, Dennis, this is Joe with XYZ. I just read the press release that you guys acquired ABC Widgets. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, I know that when two companies merge or are acquired, logistics is one of the biggest challenges that they have during that merger process. Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? Sure. How do you anticipate this merger to have an impact on your department and your role personally in the next 3 to 6 months? Now, do you see how that's different? I'm not begging them for loads. I'm talking about something that's highly relevant to them. Okay? And it shows, number one, that I'm educated about the niche, I'm educated about their company, and I'm concerned and focused on challenges and issues that they're going to have specific to that merger. Okay? Imagine two big companies, a $100 million company and a $500 million company merged together. Right? They have products and they have products, and they've got logistics people and they've got logistics people and they've got different locations. And now you're trying to merge all that together, right? In the supply chain, you're trying to merge two supply chains. It is a nightmare. It's a recipe for having all kinds of challenges and issues. It's a recipe for lots of overtime. It's a recipe for lots of losses due to mistakes that are being made or bad judgment or different errors within the organization. So that's a perfect time for you to enter. Okay? So that's one example. I could come up with hundreds, but I would need a specific piece of sales intelligence. And sometimes it's easier than others, right? So I hope that helps, Jojo Mo. Michael, the job board, we have a Freight Broker Bootcamp job board, but I don't know, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't been used a lot for whatever reason. I haven't really promoted it. I think there's a couple of positions on there, right? But it's not like it used to be. So if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/jobs, that's the job board. If there are agents that are, positions that are available, great. You can check them out there. If not, one of the best place to find agent opportunities is on LinkedIn. Okay? One of the best ways to find agent opportunities is on LinkedIn. Connecting with recruiters and or owners and or business development people that work for freight brokerages that are looking to expand. Small to medium-sized brokerages that are doing $1 million to, let's call it, not even medium, small brokers that are doing maybe $1 million to 10 or 20 million in sales, which there are a ton of, and then offering them a solution that costs them nothing with zero risk to add revenue and add customers and add profit. Okay? Because those are the companies that need you the most. Those are the companies that want you the most. And those are the companies that you have the most value. Do not reach out to the large agent-based programs, because they don't need you. They're focused on companies that have a book of business. Now, you may have a book of business, okay? You may not. But if you don't have a book of business, you want to focus on those small companies, right? If you have a book, you can go anywhere you want. It's just whatever the best fit for you, whatever the best, whatever you're looking for specifically. So hope that helps. George asks, how many cold calls per day should a new agent aim for per day? Thought on volume versus quality. It's a balance of quality versus quantity. I'm not one of those guys that believes you should be dialing the phone 100 times a day. I would prefer you dial the phone, 40, 60, 80 times a day, depending upon the level. But during that, you're gathering sales intelligence. You're taking a couple of minutes and gathering sales intelligence on the industry, using Google, on the company, using their website, and on the prospect themselves, using LinkedIn, gathering a little bit of sales intelligence, customizing your sales approach, and then doing the outreach. I'd rather have you lower volume, but a customized approach, allowing you to be different, than using a generic sales script where you're just focused on numbers and you're dialing the phone 100 or 200 times a day. So you hit on a really good point, quality versus quantity. You can't just do quality and expect to make 2 or 3 phone calls a day, but you can't just do quantity and expect to do everything wrong 1,000 times and hope that it works. Okay? So I hope that helps. It's a balance. Good question. Okay, guys. Let's see. What's this question? Should you focus on backfills or new customers if you're starting with an established broker with existing lanes with empty backfills, commission only? Let me read that again. Should you focus on back hauls, I think you mean, or new customers if you're starting with an established broker with existing lanes with empty backfills? If you are an agent, okay, if you are going to be an independent agent, you're going to be focused on your own book of business and developing new customers. If you are working as a W-2 employee inside of a brokerage, then you're going to do what they tell you. They're going to tell you to either, find trucks for their existing loads, or they're going to tell you to go out and get customers. The way you make money as an independent agent is building your own book, managing that freight, and extracting the profit, right? A percentage of the profit. Most agents get paid 50 to 70% of the profit on any given load. Okay. So it's a very lucrative business, but it all starts by having your own book of business. So you got to develop that. That might take you a few weeks or a few months to get your first customer. And then you can parlay that into other customers and revenue. And eventually, like I said, most agents that I know that are making six figures only have 5 to 10 active shippers in any given month. Okay. Now, some of them have a lot more and they have larger books. I mean, I have friends and clients of mine that do over $1 million a year in commissions after all their expenses and commissions before taxes as an agent. So I'm not saying that's what you're going to do. I'm not saying that that's not what you're going to do, but it's possible. But they have typically a lot more than 5 or 10 clients. Okay. They might have 20 or 50 clients, right? Depends. So hope that helps. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. If you're not on the wait list, get on the wait list. That is for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. If you are looking for Freight Broker startup help, you're just getting started, you're looking for some of the foundational startup help, but how to become a freight broker, freight agent, check out the Freight Broker Bootcamp startup program. We've had over 10,000 students go through that program. We offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day. Wish me luck in Cherry Creek at my property. I got a bunch of work I'm going to get done down there today. Again, thank you guys for being here. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. If you have questions after this, hit them in the comments, and I'll try to come back in the following weeks and try to answer those questions. It was a great hour. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you. Oh, for you tomorrow, watch for that text. If you're on the wait list, watch for the text, guys. It's going to be going out in the morning. Big news. All right. Opening enrollment. You get all the details. See you tomorrow.